Well, now, I take the redirection. I'm sorry I wasn't able to understand, but we just had to restart. And I enjoy it when this happens because typically it means things are going to happen that I didn't expect. I will skip what I was initially saying and give a prayer for this moment. Work with me here. Heart. Tune into your heart until you can feel it. Crown. Same. Throat. Sacral. Nose tip. Solar plexus. Diamond eye. Lungs. This will save your life. Root. Chin. Navel. Third eye. Heart. Memorize this. Memorize it. You need to pray to be whatever it is, whatever it takes for you to confront the challenges that you're facing. And you need to want to confront them rather than want to avoid them. That's where we're going to start. As above, so below means that we are living out patterns on a personal level that are reflected on a spiritual level. So there are spiritual rhythms. There are rhythms within the energies of the earth. So they're generated from the center of the earth. Spiritual is it's a broad statement. I'm going to make sure you can hear me now. So maybe I got a message that tells me.
Hey, so we found the new live. You named it Deeper Than Ever, but it still says we're waiting for you to start it. Have you started it yet?
I started another one. Period. That one died. Period. I'm so sorry, guys. This is like, what's going on? What's going on? It's beautiful. Apparently, I'm totally scared. And so they're telling me just dive in because I don't want to say these. I need your help. Please invite people you trust and respect to this. I want this to be fun, but really, I need a stronger circle, not just for myself. Ultimately, this is making it for all of us. But we've got to take it to the next level because we don't have enough presence yet to hold certain things at bay on a strictly worldly, energetic, spiritual plane. That means we need all resources. We need more money. We need more people. We need more time. But really, that all derives from presence and commitment. So there's a fair exchange of energy. And what this does is it allows us to tap in with each other and have the strength of presence to simply say no to things that aren't acceptable and have them reflect away. The reason this matters so much is that the lessons coming through now need to be a much stronger presence in the whole world, but they contradict what a lot of people think and understand. I've been given a broad appreciation, awareness of how the world works, how different forces in the world work, and how we fit in. And it's imperative that some of you get this enough to guide others. As long as some of us get it, we're wind finders for each other. We show the way through spiritual currents as they change. I'm just going to check in to make sure you can hear me. You can hear me, right? All right, good. There we go. I'm sorry this took some time, but yes, let's be with this, okay? Because I want, if we're all, or just some of us, just some of us are present in a way that unlocks the magic of this day, it's going to work better. Hold these. Consciousness can be created everywhere. People are getting very bemused, confused about this like multiverse stuff. Chill it. There's a universe. There's a universe, and there isn't 5 gazillion yous living out every opportunity. There are spiritual rhythms present that live out many different opportunities, but it's a much more ephemeral existence. Lacking you, your conscious presence, it's not as real by any measure. You matter. What you witness matters. What you believe in matters. So while there's this shorthand that gives us access, like we could say, oh, be your future self that's already lived this and therefore you will integrate it. Yeah, but it's a bit of a trick. It's a bit of a gimmick. There are better ways to do this. There are better ways to do this. But in order to access these better ways, you have to appreciate what's been happening all along. We are creating consciousness. We're creating human consciousness, and we're creating human consciousness together. When yoga is practiced for thousands of years, it carves out a space for yoga to be accessible. When a song is practiced for thousands of years in a sacred way, it's imbued with the strength and the vibrancy of the reverence with which it is offered to the world. Humanity and our many different flourishing, flowering cultures has been creating something. And in this creation, we need boundaries. So right now, we have to be able to reach beyond certain boundaries that are strictly and appropriately guarded. But they were guarded for many of the wrong reasons and at great cost. Meaning, everything that was in tune with a wide range of nature was demonized, literally demonized. In this process of demonizing a wide range of nature, we were taught to draw a boundary that would keep us human. We need to stay human. The problem is we need to stay human and reach into these other ways. Now, many people can't do it without getting lost. Study this person, Da Free John. Dude shared some wonderful lessons in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then he went off the deep end. Decided he needed 9 wives. Decided basically everything he did was good. When people cross a certain boundary to access spiritual roots, they often don't know how to stay human. So they become a herd animal, essentially, to try to guide all the energies around them. Now, this is a challenge to everybody who gets attention. Everybody. Everybody who gets attention is put in a position to be guiding lots of people, right? If you don't stay human, you start losing the boundary in your mind, and it starts to move spirit. We need that boundary. We need to stay human. But we also need to tune into the moon cycle. We also need to be able to communicate with the trees. We also need to integrate with the root systems that are feeding life around us. So we get out of this oppositional relationship with nature. Trees, spirits, the tree people are absolutely deeply present. They have been blocked. They have been blocked. They've been called evil. And it's been very effective to keep us severed from them. And much of our hostile relationship with nature is derived from this desire to block their consciousness because it's terrifying to the human spirit. Now, once you know how to stay attuned with your own spiritual roots, you can learn to connect and communicate across these boundaries, just like growing a branch and having flowers grow on this branch. In fact, you're brought into vibrancy in a similar way to very tall trees. Very tall trees are only able to be very tall because they can take in water through their leaves. On their own, the dynamic of drawing water up root systems can only reach so high, a little between 1 and 200 feet effectively. Once trees get higher than 100 feet, if they don't know how to take in water through their leaves, they can't appropriately stay nurtured. They can't keep themselves alive at that height. This is a similar pattern. This is a similar dynamic to what's happening spiritually, but in many directions. If you just stay with your roots, you can only get to a certain size. This is good. But if you learn to take in resonance as you connect with other ways of being, and stay rooted, you can become much more vibrant, broad, gigantic, influential, much more of a blessing. And this is what we're called to do. This is what we need to do. This is what the world needs of us. So be present with this, because this is at the heart of what kept mystery schools secret. Friday the 13th was a day that the Papal Inquisition murdered many of the Knights Templars. The Knights Templars came to the knowledge that essentially good and evil were misunderstood, and Christ was married to Mary Magdalene. Now, I'd like you to hold, they had a lot of other secrets, but I want you to hold these two. This is present on the web now, but I want you to appreciate with a deep reverence what's happening, because this knowledge used to be kept secret at the threat of death. And the reason it was kept secret at the threat of death is they were guarding the boundaries of what they knew to be human. It was a severe approach that enabled them to stay human and stay quite small within being human. They couldn't reach into other ways of being. Now, when they played around with understanding gender enough that everybody could access a way in which that they are receptive and assertive, they could get in touch with their spirit beyond this lifetime. Your spirit is not gendered. Once you get in touch with your spirit beyond this lifetime, your consciousness can just go into the universe. You can remember your soul, your existence beyond this planet. It's like unlocking a combination lock. So the higher frequencies had this boundary that said, stay in your age, stay in your gender, don't mess with it. Don't go beyond it. And that's part of the reason there's been so much hostility towards working with different boundaries over the course of human history, working with different boundaries of gender and sexuality, because it gets you in touch with the spirit. And once you're in touch with your spirit, it's unlocking the keys to so much. Now, there are other ways to do these. There are simpler, gentler, less confusing ways to do these. Just be receptive and assertive. Cry when you need to cry. Be angry when you need to be angry. But when cultures have these heavy measures of what a gender expectation is, it keeps you from doing that. And thus people sort of destroy the whole system in their minds in a way that many young people are doing these days. Now, there's another boundary. That's an upper boundary. That's a boundary with upper frequencies in a certain respect. There's a lower boundary. And that lower boundary is in becoming more animalistic. Now, this is shockingly straightforward, but many people don't pay enough attention to realize this. Look at how nature is organized, particularly in the animal kingdoms. There's these gigantic chains, right? Where this feeds on this, feeds on this, feeds on this, feeds on this. The organization to this system is designed to keep power flowing in particular patterns. I want you to be aware of these. When these power dynamics infect humanity, we are essentially succumbing to what many have called the demiurge, Aruman. This is the guidance of a force that pushes you into these structural hierarchies. It's very animalistic. It is our goal to transcend these patterns. It is. Absolutely. In fact, pure humanity doesn't live this way. All of the hostilities between cultures, between individuals, shows that force people to compete to get things. This is all designed outside the boundaries of what we want humanity to be. And it's important to respect this because essentially we're following a satanic world. Now, I don't really like using that because we're having to occupy energies that have been misconstrued for thousands of years. The reason we were saying no to this is because we genuinely want to nurture a space where our roots grow into the heart of what the divine prophecy of human existence calls us to be. And you have to be able to reach beyond these limits while staying rooted in what we're designed to be. To reach beyond these limits is anathema to many, and I personally don't really like receiving a gazillion messages from aggressive people who think they're Christians saying, follow Christ only, you're following demons. I'm not following anything other than the divine blessings of this earth that are absolutely Christ. They're crystalline. They are Christ. Jesus is here. He will talk with you every day. He will guide spirit through and out of you. He's just also happens to be in tune with a much broader dream than the one the papacy has overseen for thousands of years. To be present with this is to recognize that we have boundaries. One is Luciferian, one is Ahriman. This is at the heart of the Rosicrucian sacred teachings. This is at the heart of the Knights Templars sacred teachings. This is at the heart of what led a lot of mystery schools for thousands of years. We have to exist within these boundaries. What the church was guided to do was call it all the devil. Now, in a very tangible sense, the devil doesn't exist. Satan exists, Lucifer exists, Beelzebub exists, Baal exists, many other deities of former times exist. And they fit in the universe. They all have their place, so to speak. It's up to you to choose what you're following and what you're creating here. And simply calling something evil in a certain form is to misunderstand the challenge. Don't be that. Don't be that. The rules are relatively simple. If you can't follow the 10 commandments, any culture, every culture, you should follow the 10 commandments. I've never seen somebody breaking these rules and living a good life. They're good rules. I keep repeating this because you need to tune in. You even need a day of rest a week, okay? Like to be reverent, to be sacred. I've said this before, and I enjoy bringing it back up again. But my family sat around one day, and we embarrassingly were like, "Can we remember all 10 of the commandments?" And we could only remember 9. We started laughing, and we're like, "The one we're forgetting is the one that we're not following." And the one we were forgetting was remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Take a day where you're resting and being sacred, reverent towards life. These are good rules. And when you cross them, there's all sorts of other ways of being you can access. You can learn to think with coyotes. You can learn to think with the deer. You can learn to think with the rabbits. In fact, plenty of people are doing that all the time. And if you stay that way, you will reincarnate as an animal on this level. This is the design. To call it evil is to misunderstand. It's terribly organized. It's very organized, and it's very fair. It's very fair. It's up to you. How are you going to live your life? What are you going to prioritize? What are you going to choose? If you don't know how to notice what's happening to you, you're going to make decisions in a very sloppy way. And I'm reminded of this regularly. I used to be much more exploratory. It's how I know all these things. And I would go deep into certain ways and I go, whoa, that sucks. I could still feel the pulls. You have to be able to feel the pulls, and you have to be able to say no to them. And beneath all these, we really doing this? Are the tree people? Now, one of our members brought to my attention that the tree people wanted to talk to me a while ago, and I was blocking it. I'm not going to put anyone on the spot here, but thank you. I followed through. It's an exceptional and daunting presence that I have been avoiding because their level of presence and the level of involvement that they are going to begin having more and more in humanity is difficult to accept. But most importantly, it terrifies me how much I love them. It terrifies me how much I love them because then I have to experience the terrifying pain at how humanity is living right now. And in the past, when I've gone into this pain, I've communed with the dolphins, I've communed with the trees, and I've hated humanity. Now I'm being taught to build a sacred business that can be efficient, that can be balanced, that can teach as many people as are willing and ready to learn in a good way, to participate in the mainstream processes, patterns, balance, to participate in exchange, commerce, to do it with reverence, and to channel these forces through humanity. And what I am being taught even more deeply is that what I hate is not human. It is the species that I share with other people losing the boundaries and being so terrified that they just slaughter what they fear. Slaughtering what we fear it's so tempting. Pretend that animals don't have consciousness, pretend trees don't have consciousness, and then kill them every time you start to get the message that they're watching you. It's very daunting to wake up to realize how thoroughly you are seen, witnessed, known, and known from a perspective you might not like. What the tree people encourage me to appreciate is it's much easier for them to reincarnate than it is for us. They have a level of individualism, but it's very easy for them to transfer to elsewhere. They have a level to which they know themselves as an independent being when they have one trunk, but they're also so woven with others that every element of them that's able to identify as a unique being in one tree can shift elsewhere more easily than we do, with less trauma to their spirit. So as I finally open myself to breathe through these fears and to listen more deeply than I've ever listened, they're teaching me they love me far more than I realized. I've been so terrified to accept this, to embrace this. And they're communicating with me that it's essential that I embrace this now in order to step into the next era. Thank you for being here, peoples. 21. Memorize the key ring. I can't tell you enough. One of the best ways to memorize and to deepen your awareness of something is to teach it. So again, I invite you to hold space every week, no matter who you are, everyone watching. Hold space every week for yourself to work on the key ring. And do it with the intention of inviting other people to join you when you're ready. So at the same time every week, you're going to do at least a 15-minute key ring meditation. But importantly, you're going to do it and you're going to remember what you learn. This ritual will put you in a position where you get better and better at talking to your own spirit, listening to the messages that allow you to recognize what you need to work on in your life. So the unveiling of this meditation is to help you prioritize. It helps you prioritize better choices. It helps you recognize where your energy can be put to best use, to untangle confusions, to get dissonance out of your experience, and to bring a healthier energy into presence every day. And this will not work unless you commit to being willing to help other people. So you can start yesterday holding space for other people. I strongly encourage you, either online or in person, hold space for other people. Lead them through the key ring. Ask them what happened. All you have to do is say which of your chakras most stood out. That's the one to focus on. Then talk about it. Go to the website, look up the themes, focus on them. Ask questions. There's several questions given to you there. You want to go deeper? Get the book. I'm going to ask something that I have not asked, and I can't believe it. Would you please go review the book on Amazon? I would be so grateful. Obviously, I'd appreciate positive reviews and stars, things like that. If you've bought it in the past or you're excited to buy it now, would you please consider taking this step? This book contains just entirely channeled guidance on questions, insights, dysfunctions, superpowers, rhythms, how to explore the chakras in order. It was my best attempt to give everything that I've learned all at once in a simple form. And you can explore it for years. I still use it as a reference. I would sit in a coffee shop 5 blocks from where I live, and I would brew over one line for half an hour. It's a way to tune your spirit to hear the web of life, the Kaiyan mind. And I repeat to you, we are learning to be here. We are learning to tune in to the presence of ourselves as a part of this world. To be a part of the Kaiyan mind is, on a certain level, the greatest gift you could possibly imagine from within the experience of being human in this life. You essentially aren't human. You have to align yourself with a series of vibrations, much like a combination lock. You have to align a whole range of different forces in order to tune in to liberate yourself, to be woven with the web of life. And I encourage you to appreciate that there's an intrinsic resistance to doing this. It's terrifying on a certain level. It feels like you're being trapped. There are multiple voices in the sort of collective unconscious that warn you against it because so many spirits have gotten close and pulled away. So many souls have touched down and then pulled away from the earth entirely. And you live in the legacy of this soup of choices and confusions. So as you awaken to realize what's happening, please appreciate she is incredibly gracious. She gives you multiple opportunities to say no. The pull of this is extreme. And once you tune in, you're being drawn towards choices that, on a certain level, it's like it's a marriage with the divine presence of the earth. It's a marriage with the divine blood of Gaia. And once you do this, you stay for a while. Now, be present with this simple little lesson before we move on. Wherever you are, you're developing yourself. Wherever you are. You could live in Saturn. You could live just dancing around the sun. You could live on one of the far asteroids of the Kuiper Belt. Wherever you are, you're developing yourself. So when you're presented with opportunities, a choice to pull away from commitment is a choice to pull away from commitment. It makes you less likely to commit elsewhere. When you ask, what are the greatest opportunities available to me here, and you dive into them, that's karma too. I don't know if you could, it's something beyond good karma. That is the karma of designing yourself to deeply embrace, to imbibe the most wonderful blessings of the world you're given. Super daunting. Now, I would like to teach you a new lesson. For some of you, it's old. Some of you are working really hard. And I want you all to learn to recognize the difference, because there's some static in the way here. I am not saying piss off, but I am asking you to just look around you spiritually, look around you in the comment section, look around you in the sanctuary, and just recognize who's working hard. When you work hard within our shared vibration, you're helping to cultivate this vibration. You're helping to deepen the roots. You're helping to strengthen the vines, the stems, and put us in a position to flower together. So if you're not in a position where you feel like you can pour yourself into your commitment, just be gentler with your presence. Last month, 3 regular clients who have offered discounts to refused to accept the discount because they appreciate me as much as they do. And this is coming at a time when I need it. I need it very much. We live in a split level house. We live in a small 2-bedroom apartment upstairs. Then we have this room, and we rent out that space as a form of supplementing our income. I would really love to stop having to do that, but we can't afford it at all. We're not close to being able to afford it. We need it. My children have been going bonkers. They are really intense. They have a lot of energy, and we're crashing into each other. They share a room. They're constantly arguing over space. I can't afford to give too much time to people who aren't working hard, because some of you are working hard. Some of you are appreciating me with money. Some of you are appreciating this community with some of the most gracious service. And I'm going to call out Sarah, Angie, and Emiliano, who are on a team helping create everything that's working well here. Many others are working. These 3 they see problems before I do. They take care of it often without even telling me. And I look at things, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That's beautiful. And they're like, oh yeah, be quiet, Daniel. Get out of the way. We've got this figured out. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it, because when the 3 of you remove burdens that weigh me down, I'm liberated to hold another teacher training time. We're holding 2 teacher training times. So when you sign up for the Wildflower training, you can attend 2 times a week. I would like to have many more. So the more people who sign up for the training, the more times we're going to hold. And when we do this, we're giving multiple times a week where people can join, tune in, ask questions, deepen your resolve, and eventually bring this essence out to the circles you hold. I want you to start holding a circle for others now. You can learn the key ring meditation, lead them through the meditation, and ask them what they learned. Everybody can do it. Deepen it, take the courses. Sacred Creatures alone will give you so much to use to guide other people. You could guide people for years just with that one course. And then you can go deeper into the training itself, which is it's a very Eastern model, meaning you're all doing the coursework, but you're coming in and asking questions. You're coming in and I'm helping to measure, where are you at? What could you best do to go deeper in yourself? This is where I want to take you all. And I think we have the foundations in such a way that I can really bring you towards the edge. Now, I do my best to show you the challenges I'm working with, but I'd also like to include a better bridge to get there. So I'm going to do this. I'm working on this new skill that is just, it's such a blessing. Now I want to get you into the mind of it. The mind of this is you're aiming for something that's hard and you're going to own it. For a year, I've been working on handstands. I do handstands most days and I enjoy them. Now I want to take it to another level where I am fully confident that now I'm going to do it and it's going to work. And to do that, I've developed this, what I'm calling frog bouncing. So I go up with the intention to be in a handstand, but then if I don't get it first try, I'm just going to pop down and back up. So I'm not going to stay down and retune to inverting myself, keep getting myself upright. I'm just going to bounce down. And what this is doing is it's cognitively making the new state normal. Even though I'm not effectively holding it every single time I try, it's making the state so normal that I can settle into trusting this is a part of me. Now, I've been doing handstands every day for a year, most days. But often I have to work at it a little while to get there. This is sort of saying to stay in a new state of being, you have to want it with this grip on life where you're saying, I will make this real. Some of you are working this hard. You don't have to do it with the handstand. You have to do it with your new ascension. You have to do this with your new awakened state. You get glimpses of it. You need to both want it with a fierceness that makes it real. And you also need to know how to put your effort to work in a way that is effective. You can't just throw yourself at something in an exhausting or inefficient way. It'll generate extra frustration. But when you learn the steps you can pour yourself into with the confidence that they will work, you can start to tackle dreams that you couldn't get at before. There are some dreams you can't imagine unless you cultivate this in yourself. You have to cultivate this in order to even be able to access the potentials that we are called to unlock. Now I'm going to work at this just a little. Right now, I want you to think about what is something you could barely do, and where can you put this effort, and it'll be effective. It'll be effective. So no, I don't want to hear any excuses. I can't do this because of this. Okay, fine. Find what you can do that you know you can get that deep resolve, work hard, and that work will make you stronger. Now, the thing I want to emphasize here is when I do these frog bounces, I'm getting myself so my weight is on my arms. That's the only goal of a frog bounce. I can come right back down. In fact, it's very good for my heart rate to just go up, down, up, down. So I'm going to do that a couple times. I'm not going to try to stay up the first time. And we'll see if after 3 or 4, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Holy shit. This is going to be intense. Saint Germain was my teacher in a past life. I was a Rosicrucian. I was not a master at first. He was my teacher. I met him in person in this life. He sang me a song and sent me on a mission. I met him in the body. I met him. These bodies are capable of much more than we anticipate. Telomeres in our cells can be repaired. The work we're doing here is designed to teach us how to do that. It is crucial that you understand that, or the work doesn't work. And you have to gentle your desire, meaning essentially this is the path. It's not immortality. It's the path to extremely extended lifetimes by the standards we know. And you have to be completely okay if you die within a normal time frame and reincarnate into a period when you will live for hundreds of years. So you have to be able to think about living for hundreds of years as the result of the work we're doing. The work we're doing is designed to teach us the philosopher's stone. Now, the philosopher's stone is this incredible and ultimately quite simple form of awareness. When we unite our consciousness with a rhythm of the key ring, we're generating density to coalesce. You have to be able to separate out excessive soul, higher frequencies, excessive spirit, lower frequencies. It's almost this simple. And then preserve a kernel of liquid gold. This liquid golden presence distills out of the key ring and the eventual gifts that emerge from your ability to focus in this way. And what this enables is for consciousness to collect in a way that you are an intrinsic part of. You uniting your awareness rather than dispersing it, bringing it back into this cycle: heart, crown, throat, sacral, nose tip, solar plexus, diamond eye, lungs, root, chin, navel, third eye, heart. Get it that fast. Do it again and do it again. Heart, crown, throat, sacral. You do it. Now, Saint Germain came to me several years ago. He offered me music lessons. I accepted. He gave me a lesson. I didn't follow it. I haven't been able to play music since. Every time I get one other form of like a strand of guidance, and it leads me in the wrong way. And it's so frustrating. I fall for it repeatedly. And it's because I've been a coward. He's encouraging me to tone it down. Essentially, I've been a bit of a coward. He's encouraging me to tone it down, saying it wasn't time. And I want to follow this lesson now. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'd ask for your support in doing it. It's really cool. Now, root. I have changed what I'm sitting on. This is a box drum. I'm going to sit on this now because I want my groundedness to improve. I have been sitting on this. Now, it's been an awesome transition to sit on something without a back. Now it's better for me to sit with, it's ideally perfect in height to keep me very upright. And to get this hard connection, this roots. Right now, we're going to do a prayer for roots. I'd like you to be present with your own. My root is repairing right now. And there's a lot of really healthy, trusting energy that's asking me to come deeper. I've bridged this gap that I've been, again, I'm inclined to like blame myself. And they're saying, don't blame yourself. The timing is fine. I've bridged this gap. And I'm connecting into the Gaian mind in a way that is deeper than, it's not deeper, it is more confident and present. I am able to survive here. Whereas in many times in the past that I've accessed these depths, I've resisted them. Now, one of the first measures is when I was younger, I did use cannabis quite a bit to get into spaces. And they're quite adamant now that it is a detrimental tool for me to focus with. I haven't been using it nearly as much for years and years. And to be honest with you, when I have, been pretty distracting. I am not judging your use. Everybody gets to tune into the earth directly, to commune, to have a conversation about what your true medicine is, and when you use such things as distractions. I've used this increasingly as a distraction, and it's inhibited my abilities. Last week, I smoked for the first time in a bit, and during the day, I sang a song, and it was beautiful. And then I smoked, and it was worse. And it's like, cut it out. This has happened repeatedly. And I'm ready to let go of the dynamic entirely. And it's a real commitment because we are looking at a new era. This is the message that I knew we were getting to today. And I'm astonished by how we got here. We're looking at an era that has the best of the energies that emerged during the end of the 1960s in the United States in particular, the dawning of the age of Aquarius. But when they were doing that, they used intoxicants, cannabis and LSD in particular, to get into a depth that needed to stay further from the mainstream of consciousness. Mainstream human consciousness was not ready to be driven by these forces yet. The spiritual winds of the world couldn't hold it. Now they can. So whereas in the past, their era was driven by a hedonism that became very detrimental to society and to individuals, now we need to do it without hedonism. We need to do this as claiming the center. Now, there's space for celebration. There is not space for the kinds of recklessness that have characterized the many decades in many communities that I've known and walked through. It's just deeply damaging to destroy your consciousness over and over again and to ignore the rhythms of the world. There are ancient rhythms for when to use the sacred substances of the earth. I cannot say this enough. There are rhythms. I'm not even going to tell you. Just consider. There are rhythms when it makes sense to let go. There are rhythms when it makes sense to rewrite. There are rhythms when it makes sense to enter ecstasy. There are rhythms when it makes sense to ground. There are rhythms when it makes sense to be intuitive and take on new ideas. Some substances of the earth facilitate these rhythms, becoming a more intrinsic part of you. And some substances of this earth have been ignored and demonized for the depth of their influence. But none of them are the soul gateway, and none of them are to be misused. In this, it is our job to be able to embody what were known as extremes of hope, of passion, of joy. This whole wave that started, and I experience it kind of YouTube centric. I know it's present in other places, but there's a wave of awakening where there's a common language emerging. This is just the beginning. We are supposed to make this, instantiate this in the world. We are supposed to make this personal. We are supposed to make this human. We are supposed to involve presence, song, touch, the return, the re-embrace of sacred ceremony, the integration with nature on a level that far transcends the hedonistic, impulsive rebelliousness of the 60s and 70s. With deep respect and even reverence for what they did, we're not supposed to beat the shit out of ourselves that way. We're not supposed to fight over partnerships. We're not supposed to feel sick so often. We're not supposed to fry our bodies. We're supposed to be more present. This is about embodying the depth of hope and making it normal, not experiencing it as a high and you return with a vision that kind of helps you navigate for years. This is about owning it, being it. And there's a challenge to that. When I did my frog bouncies, I didn't prepare myself for, like, I've been doing this for days, like really successfully. And the energy of being witnessed made me too enthusiastic. So I went all the way over. But that's cool too. I know I can handle that. It's just a really good metaphor for what's happening. Like, the energies are heightened. Your strength is heightened. So learning to recognize how these forces affect you is your job. It's your job. And it's your job to help other people recognize this. It's your job to want, to be a blessing, to be a guide, a Kaiya. So listen, Kaias, you are Kaias. You are hers. The sacred unlocking is to allow yourself to embrace a divine feminine. Consider it a affirmative action for the imbalance of having a fatherly masculine be the dominant theme for so long. Because the divine feminine has been taking your pain. To turn to her and to accept that is very painful. You feel sad, so you buy something and throw it away. You feel sad, so you break something. You feel sad, so you eat something that you didn't need, which came from her. You ignore the fact that trees are getting cut down recklessly. You ignore the fact that the water is being polluted near you. This is her taking our pain. And what you will be astonished to discover is that she really loves us. And she's very personally present. She's very personally present and aware. She knows about your problems. She knows about your dramas. In fact, she has guides, beings that are in tune with the Kaiyan mind, deeply a part of the Kaiyan mind, who are intrinsically aware of who you are, where you are, why you suffer, why you're stuck, and how you can move forward in a way that works. And we are a part of that. This work is a part of that. This work attunes you to the Kaiyan mind. This work attunes us to liberate, to activate our bodies on levels that, again, these are superpowers, people. This is the reality of what has been seeded in pop culture through Hogwarts and an X-Men school. Thank you, Casey. This is what we're doing. And I want you to help envision into a future, starting now, where this is more than you all learning from me. I have been given a head start. It's totally unfair. 10 years to write this, 10 years to integrate this. I've got a head start. But some of you have been here for 4 or 5 years. The work we're doing together is designed to this is like the trunk. This is like the core rhythms. These are like, it's a little bit of a guidebook to help us stay in tune, to help us have a common language. But this is designed to liberate you to be your own unique mutant. This is designed to liberate you to be a specialist who flowers and flourishes in all sorts of wonderful, unique ways. Opens to unique guidance that is your own, that we need. We need you to be your best. We need you to be yourself. I don't know if you've noticed, those of you who visit the sanctuary, those of you who visit the sacred time, which is sort of like the sanctuary welcome mat that's following this. At 11 o'clock, we meet together. It's a live Google Meet. You can lurk, you can be quiet, you can watch, but I'd love you to join us and be present with reverence for the people who are showing up, because we're doing incredible work together. And this is these wild, wonderful, diverse people. I want you to appreciate Multiple of you, many of you have come to me and talked about feeling like everybody else is something and you couldn't fit in. It's so quite the opposite. We we are this incredible diversity, and this system is designed to help us be together in a way that gives you as much independence as possible within this togetherness. It's what we all really want. We all really want togetherness and independence, and we're designed to exist in these tensions. The rudimentary understanding that many people have over how the reality works is it's like one dimension of a much more complex way. I'm glad I have enough time to explain this part. Imagine you have a web of life and there are two like peaks in the web. And so the whole web is down here, but then there are two peaks. Now imagine you exist in a slice that carves out space for just each of these peaks and above. Each of these peaks looks like they're independent and very prominent parts of a world that's just this flat land with two peaks in it, because you don't see the web. You don't see the rest of reality, and you can't internalize that these peaks are part of the web. They're part of the same existence. This is a good metaphor for the boundaries of humanity. You can go too far into the light. You can embody too much light. It's not all good to just bring as much light as possible. You'll fry your circuits. You'll fry the people around you. You'll start navigating beyond the boundaries in a way that makes you terrible decisions. This is Luciferian. The other is Ahriman, the demiurge, the too much animalistic, too much into the animalistic hierarchy, trying to alpha everybody, trying to fight everybody, trying to determine and measure everything based on relative power, essentially fitting into the animal hierarchies. We exist in a flat world with these two peaks, and we've been trying to stay between them. When you deepen your roots and you accept and appreciate the web of life, you start to understand the role of these boundaries. You can appreciate the boundary without being terrified of it anymore. You don't have to be scared into compliance. You're just like, yeah, I don't want to have to fight all the time. Yeah, I don't want to exist in relation to your failure. Yeah, I don't want to have to keep you down. It's not my job to alpha you. That's exhausting and tedious for me. Like, really and truly. How many of you show up and like you want me to alpha you? And then you want to get mad at me for it? And then you want to hold me accountable for how difficult it is? Like, stop it. Take more responsibility for yourself. That's animalistic. That's going into the demiurge world of wanting something else to control you because you don't know how to control yourself. Cut it out. Be humble in this world and be completely and utterly confident in this world, and bow your head when you need to. Tune your crown. As you deepen your roots, I want you to appreciate what happens when you trust this process. I invite you to breathe some trust right now. The answers are here. I've got a lot of them. All the other answers you need, all the other explanations you need, they exist. How about you set down your need to understand for just a little bit? Breathe with the trust that lets you transform. Stop asking for explanations for a little bit. You know deep within you that you were born for this calling. Can you allow life to move through you and take away from you what you no longer need, without arguing about it, without asking for explanations? Feel it. Imagine reaching beneath the surface of what you thought was a foundation into the roots of the web of life. Feeling the energies come up into you through your feet, into your root chakra. Allowing it. And then trusting it to rise up to your chin. Lift your chin. Now go back down to the root and open a little bit more. Sit back. Sit back. Leaning forward can be untrusted. Sit back. Feel the foundation. Open a little more. Feel the exchange. Energy in, energy out. It's not sex and it's not excrement. It's energy. It's its own. You'll learn to recognize and understand these feelings. Now come up to your lungs. Open your shoulders. Roll them back a little. Now breathe full, deep breaths. What do you need to do? What do you need to be doing in your life that you're not doing? What needs to be a daily part of your life and your commitments? I'm going to ask you right now. Think about who you know in your life who could be a blessing here. Think about who you know in your life who may need this. And think about what the best way to introduce them might be. There are many small, gentle ways that you can invite them. Send a short from one of the channels. Please visit the Daniel Fusion channel linked in here. We're starting to build that out with a lot more straightforward spiritual guidance. So a little less extreme on purpose. A lot of shorts from these gathering times we're posting on this channel. And Sarah Abu Ali is editing the lightning sessions. These are the sessions we do next. And then we're condensing them, choosing just some of them to be most prominent and publishing them there so people can see how this works. This is the most important work in so many ways. Learning to retune your energy and learning to confront the things that rise to the surface as we retune our energy. This is fast forward spiritual evolution. It's intentional ascension. It's looking at those things that stand in the way. And it's the best guidance that I received. I said, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? What can I do to help? For about 5 years. And then in 2 more years, I got this job. And then in 10 years after that, I was ready to write the book. And this is lifetimes after I began this journey. Wildflowerfire.com. See you soon. Much love.